Hello, my friends. I'm on a walk in Berkeley, California. My favorite place in the world right now. That's why I live here. I want to talk to you about my dieta con Ayahuasca en la selva in Peru. What did all that mean? My apprenticeship with shamans in the jungle. The jungles of Peru, Amazonas. You know, throughout my journey, I spent my first ever ayahuasca experience. I've talked about it before on my story. It was a very short period of time. And then I revisited the Amazon a second time, and I stayed there for 5 or 6 months. And the shamans were constantly telling me that I have a big problem and I have a big medicine and that I need to dieta Ayahuasca in order to figure out how to be a shaman, in order for me to transmute the illness into a bigger calling. And I believed them because shamans have a wisdom in their eyes that's way deeper than any Westerner that I had met. And it felt like they really understood what was happening in my crazy mind. So the dieta was in Cantamana, Peru. You fly to Pucallpa, which is already pretty somewhat remote, and after Pucallpa, I took a 2-passenger plane about an hour and a half to Cantamana, which is this beautiful, desolate island. Not a lot of people. I don't know how many people, maybe a few thousand on the whole island. And once on the island, I was an hour and a half drive up this huge hill. And then once I was there, I was a half-hour walk into the jungle. So I was as isolated could get, really. I wish I had a Google Maps exact location of where I was. Actually, I could probably figure it out. Maybe I'll post a picture in this vlog of where exactly I was.
Getting back here to where the guy built the Maloka back here. So this is where he's staying. Very nice back here.
I'm Josh, by the way.
Oh, he speaks English. Did you build this? No.
I just moved in yesterday.
Ah, okay. Yeah, we were back yesterday.
But this dieta was, without question, nothing has come close to the most powerful, painful, destructive, shattering situations and experiences I've ever had in my life. Was it good? I don't know. I still don't know. It's really the one thing in my life, through all of my life experiences, that I look back on and just say, it still hasn't found its place yet. It hasn't found its filing cabinet. It's still floating around a little bit. And so I was in the jungle and I was to drink ayahuasca 2 to 3 times a week. No, I'm sorry, every other day. 3 times a week while taking the Ayahuasca tree. And the way that the dieta works is you take the sap of the tree, you cook it down with mapacho, which is tobacco, and you make this little drink of it. Okay, and it was like 10 ounces. And it was a combination of Ayahuasca and mapacho. And I was only to eat plantains, starchy plantains, and fish. That was the only 2 things I could eat. Once in a while, I could have white rice as well. And the dieta was to crack open my consciousness to a new level, was to learn from the shamans, learn from the plants, from ayahuasca, from Ayahuasca, which is this tall, airy tree. And it was a very, very powerful tree. It was really truthfully one of the most powerful trees that a person can dieta. There's like a few that are just a tier above what most people dieta. A lot of people dieta plants, and it's not a competition, right? But just in the way the shamans explained to me is that there's the arbos, you know, the trees. Of the trees, there's really like 2 or 3 that are just super intense. Guayacaspi being one of them, and I forget the name of the other one, which was supposed to be my second dieta. I was considering doing 6 months, depending on how the first 3 months went. So I'm in the jungle, and I am isolated, and I'm not allowed to have human contact, okay? The only contact I can have is with the shamans and with anyone who brings me my food. I could say hello to them, you know? And I'm in this hut, sleeping with cockroaches and snakes and monkeys, and in bad shape as it is, okay? Very bad shape. My consciousness is already fractured. My body is hardly working. My digestive system is not working. I'm constipated. I'm having panic attacks 24/7. And let me tell you something. When you're in the Amazon, and when you're drinking ayahuasca, whatever you have going on in your body is magnified, because there is no turning away from it. There is just only facing your shit and nothing else. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. A book is like the most intense stimulation that I had in order to come out of my consciousness, or looking at old photos in my cell phone that often died, and when I'd have to send it out to be charged, it would take 3 days to come back to be charged, and I'd have to pay a few dollars for that. And it was on airplane mode. Of course, there was no cell phone service, but looking at old photos was an escape mechanism. So, still recording here? Yeah. So, I'm in the jungle, and I start right away. The second day, I have my first ceremony. And these ayahuasca ceremonies are brutal. I'm so shattered already. My thread to the light is so weak that I'm just dark. I'm just going dark every ceremony. And so when I would drink this concoction of mapacho and guayacaspi, I would get extremely nauseous, extremely tired. The first 2 times I did it, I literally couldn't lift my head off of the pillow. I couldn't even reach out for a glass of water. And I was supposed to drink ayahuasca those nights, and I would take the guayacaspi, and I was in the ceremony room, and the shamans would say, no ayahuasca para tu hoy día, esta noche no ayahuasca, you know, no ayahuasca for you tonight. And I begged for it. I was like, no, give me a teaspoon, give me a small shot glass. Just give me a little bit. I need something. I'm suffering here. I need, not like a drug addict, more so like I can handle it. I want the purest experience for this dieta. Whatever I'm meant to do, I want to do. I took it on like a jiu-jitsu challenge, you know, like a full-on challenge of the universe. That this was my ultimate test, and if I passed this test, that I would survive, I would make it, and I would come out of this mental anguish. Boy, was I wrong. So, I'm in the jungle, and these ceremonies are agonizing. Every time I drink the concoction, it's agonizing, which was, I think, 4 to 6 times the first 2 weeks. And every minute is agonizing because I'm in this tambo alone, by myself, no one to turn to, no one to talk to. All I'm doing is listening to binaural beats when I can, when I have a charge in my phone, all day, concentrating on my breath. Whenever my mind, which was all day, took me to these dark places, I would just concentrate on my breath and stretch. And it was like using my willpower to come out of suffering. What I mean by that is like, no matter what I was thinking or feeling, I just said, I love you, Josh. I love you, Josh. You're doing so well. You're doing so well. I'm healing my body. My body is healing. My cells are strong. My neck is strong. My brain is strong. My gut is strong. Everything is strong. All day, these affirmations, all day. With as much willpower as it took to win the Pan Ams in Jiu-Jitsu, that came over to the world of depression and panic and anguish. And I'm in the jungle, and I just remember not being able to imagine levels of suffering more intense than this. Just constantly having these moments of, it's not possible to suffer more than this. The only way I could suffer more is if I was a POW and I was like being tortured, like literally being stabbed, or like having my fingers cut off. Like I didn't understand what it took to escape suffering, because I had given myself and devoted myself to all of these missions. So I often just laid down on the ground. I was often naked, pacing around, stretching, praying, begging, devoting myself to whatever I needed to devote myself to, letting my ego shatter, allowing myself to disappear, all of my needs, wants, desires to disappear. And it just didn't get any easier. It never got any easier. It only got harder. Each day was like a month. Okay, just agony, torture, so much mental anguish. And I remember I had this flip phone. I had this local Peruvian flip phone. It was the Verizon version in Peru. It's called, I forget. And I had to walk a mile down the road, and I would get this 1 bar of service, and I could send out a text to a US number, and I texted my family members, my dad and my mom, once every couple weeks I would send them a text. I'm doing so well, everything's good. And that was one of my ties back to my home planet. But yeah, I was just drinking ayahuasca, and the ceremonies were so fucking intense. I'm going to tell you about some of these ceremonies. Let's see how loud this road is. This is going to be pretty loud, actually. Huh. Alright, I'll go back on this street. Alright. So the ceremonies were absolutely grueling. Okay? The two craziest and coolest ceremonies I've ever had were no doubt during this dieta. And I'll tell you about one of them. Well, actually, I'll tell you about two of them. I witnessed something that I'll probably lose subscribers if they made it this far to this point in the video. I'll probably lose subscribers because the level of insanity here is only going to discredit me. I don't care. I saw it. It's real. I had these ceremonies where the shamans were controlling my bowel movements. See, I learned about these dietas, and I learned about why I believe part of the reason that you eat plantains and fish only is because there's no vegetables, there's no cellulose. And when you do that, I think that the ayahuasca plant can work much more efficiently in your body. And I think that the shamans are actually, they literally are moving energy up and down your body, and literally I felt them controlling my bowel movements, not in like in a controlling way, but just in a way of like teaching me how much there is to move in a human body, how much power and how much energy the medicine can move and the shamans can move. And I literally felt them whistling a bowel movement out of me, as crazy as that fucking sounds. And this is only the beginning. And right when they got to the end, and I was like ready to go, I needed a light in order to get to the bathroom. There's no electricity there, you know, you need a little flashlight. And there's compost toilets. And as soon as I had to go, I turned to my left, and in this place where I always keep my light, I always kept my light in the same place. I was very OCD. Part of this journey, throughout the journey, I was just very, very OCD with my light and my lighter and my mapacho, the mapacho cigarettes, and anything that I needed during a ceremony. You know, I made sure to have it. That was part of how I conducted myself. I was very ritualistic. And it's funny, I watch myself get distracted by seeing other people on the street. Very interesting. But so I'm in this ceremony, and I needed my light, okay? And so, okay, I need my light. I turn to my left and my light's not there. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, this is not possible. I always keep my light there. And I turn to the shamans and I'm like, mi luz, ¿dónde está mi luz? Necesito, voy al baño. Need to go to the bathroom, where's my light? And they giggled. And I looked around, I touched everywhere, to my right, to my left, behind me, everywhere around me. Now it's close to pitch black in the room, but you get a sense when you're in those ceremonies, especially on a new moon, when it's pitch black, you get a feel for knowing all of the territory around you during a ceremony, even if you're mareado, which is seasick, which is the term they use when you're on the medicine. Because I was never like flying in the astral planes during my ceremonies. I was still very much here, and I could be very lucid and talk, etc. I was never like to a point where I didn't know about where I was or my surroundings. Other people have gotten like that. I was just too toxic to get to fly. And I asked them again, mi luz, ¿dónde está mi luz? ¿Tiene mi luz? And they started giggling again. They giggled much, much louder. And their shamans are sitting 12 yards away from me. They're not in physical contact with me. They finished their laughter. I turned back to my left. My light is exactly where I left it the first time. Exactly where I left it. And I grabbed my light and the shamans laughed. Okay? Go to the bathroom, do my thing. There's more to the ceremony. There's way more to the ceremony, but, oh, my battery's about to die. But long story short, this is the part of the ceremony that I'm trying to tell you about. The very next, 2 days later, we do another ceremony, and the same exact thing happens. Except instead of for the bathroom, it was my Palo Santo, which is a 12-ounce bottle of Agua de Florida. Sorry, not Palo Santo. It was Agua de Florida, a 12-ounce bottle of it, a liquid bottle. Okay, this is impossible to not be able to find next to my little mini bed in a ceremony. I mean, I would find that in 1 second. Okay. Oh, I think my. So sorry about that. Yesterday, I was talking about my dieta and my camera died. It's a new day, a new walk. I'm just going to finish the story really quick and then film another video. So, yeah, I was talking about the Agua de Florida, I think, when my camera died. So anyway, I finished this huge purge and reached for my Agua de Florida, something that would be impossible for me not to find. Just to put it into perspective, it's not an option that I couldn't find it or that I misplaced it. It just wasn't an option. I was so diligent with my searching with my hands, and there's only a small amount of surface area that I could be searching for. So I go to grab it, it's nowhere to be found. And I turned to the shamans and I said, "Donde está mi agua de Florida?" And they started chuckling, and I said, "Tu tome you took it. And they started laughing like hyenas. But you got to understand that there was no point in time where they were actually in the vicinity of me to be able to physically grab it, okay? They just simply were not in my vicinity at any point in time. I was completely lucid, okay? Even when the shaman is singing Icaros, he was still 5-7 feet away from the Agua de Florida. Even when I was purging, there was no point in time where he could have moved over to the corner of my bed without me seeing the leftmost back corner. See, we have these beds, and the Agua de Florida was in my leftmost back corner. He was in front of my mattress at least 3 or 4 feet out. So anyway, moral of the story, hello. Moral of the story is that I can't talk about shapeshifting on these public streets like this. But the Carlos Castaneda, if you read his books, he talks about it. And I just thought he had gone too far, or I thought it was some fantasy. Even after all the spiritual work I've done, even after all that I've seen, I still, to this day, am like, I know what happened in my heart, and because of that, I just think anything is possible. But at first, when I read about it in a book, it's like, there's just no way this is possible. This is beyond the human capabilities. Bullshit. I've seen enough now, and I just know, I'm 100% certain that there are people on this planet that, whether through the use of substances or not, can turn into or move without their physical body. They can actually pick up physical objects without having their physical body in the location. Yeah, so that's the moral of the story. That's my dieta, and time for a new video. You're still gonna be seeing another video from the same walk. I have no idea what I want to talk about, but I'm about to pop in some shilajit resin, see what comes to mind.